Most people in Canada, I don't think, are as prepared or think they need to be prepared for a national emergency or even a world emergency. I mean, we have so many things going on in the world with the war in Ukraine, with the Russians, and basically the European Union is also having huge issues with the Russians in regards to energy supply and so on. And I started looking into being prepared myself in the last little while. And one of the sites that I came across, which actually surprised me, is this Canadian site, getprepared.gc.ca. And it actually has a wealth of knowledge that you can use to prepare an emergency plan, whether it be for a flood or a Canadian disaster of any sort, wildfires, hurricanes, and those types of emergencies. And I know when the pandemic hit, so many people were caught off guard, and I don't necessarily believe that you need to go crazy and buy thousands of dollars worth of canned food and stockpile 5,000 gallons of water and all of the above. But I do believe that you need to have some kind of preparedness for emergencies. And I mean, some of the things that you might not even think about is the fact that cash. People always thought that they should have um, a bundle of cash under a mattress just in case the apocalypse hit. And in reality, we found out during the pandemic that that necessarily wasn't what you needed. The A lot of the stores stopped taking cash because they didn't want to be handling it and have their people handling cash back and forth during the pandemic. So what else could you use? Probably just about anything can be bartered. And when you think about, some people would say, okay, you go out and you buy gold and you keep that because gold is a global currency per se, that is has value through any kind of a situation. But I would say some of the things that you might not even think of, like gasoline and water and food, and just about anything can be bartered in the right situation. So let's look at this site here, getprepared.ca, and see what we've got. I mean, we've got hazards and emergencies. So it's going to list here what um, types of products could be considered a hazard. So you've got before an emergency, what to do during emergency. So different things can happen from region to region, and I know that out west they had a lot of wildfires, in northern Ontario. One of the things that you need to be prepared for can be ice storms. I don't know if anybody remembers, but back in, I believe it was 2014, there was a pretty substantial ice storm, and power was out across Ontario and Canada, in Quebec and so on, and a lot of power lines were down and those types of things. But I mean, they list here in this site just about any kind of an emergency that you would need to be prepared for. And I mean, we've got floods, hurricanes, landslides, severe storms, storm surges, so flooding and water, tornadoes, tsunamis, wildfires, bomb threats, chemical releases. I mean, you might have a factory in your neighborhood that releases chemicals into the air for a number of reasons. Power outages. I mean, one of the things that I own that will help me out in a power outage is my motorhome, because it has an onboard generator, and I keep the fuel tank full at all times, just in case we needed to power things in our home, for an extended period of time. Now, I also have a regular generator that I keep in my garage for that situation as well. But, the other thing with having the motorhome is the fact that we're able to move and have a place to live in the case of an emergency as well. So, um, if you want to check out this site, because there's just a wealth of information to make an emergency plan. They've got this emergency preparedness guide, an emergency preparedness guide for people with disabilities, for children, for pets and animals, how to stay in touch during emergencies. And here, so they've got a guide. Um, there's a video here on making a family emergency plan and so on. So I think that even if you're not somebody that believes, there are people out there that, will try to make you think that the world's coming to an end. And I mean, nobody really knows what's going to happen. I mean, the pandemic was a prime example of where people got, caught off guard and didn't think it would happen, but it did. And I believe that this site is a great site because it's presented by the government, so you know that the information is factual and reliable and isn't a scam. Because sometimes people will prey on folks in emergencies using the shock and awe and the theory that if you scare people enough, they'll do just about anything. So check out this site. It has a wealth of information, publications, emergency management organizations, videos. So we've got here making a plan, building an emergency kit. You can get an emergency kit. So here's a prime example of a list that you would like to have in case of an emergency. So, I mean, things like a manual can opener. You might not think of that, but if you have an electric one, but in fact, unless you have a can opener in an emergency where you have to use canned food, you're kind of, out of luck. Wind up or a battery powered flashlight, a battery powered radio to be able to, keep in touch in case the telecommunication systems are down. Extra keys for your cars and your house, cash, traveler's checks, and change. Now, we talked about the fact that during the pandemic, the cash wasn't accepted everywhere, which was, I believe, probably a shock to a lot of folks. Important family documents, passport and bank records and so on. Because, I mean, if you have, records sitting in your home and you don't have copies of them, and for whatever reason there's a fire or some other disaster that, your home ends up on fire, you want to have documents to be able to access them, maybe on a copy of them on your smartphone or in some other area other than in your home. A miniature safe, perhaps, where stuff isn't going to get damaged or burnt in the case of a flood or a fire or any other situation. So there's a whole list here that you can reference and create your own disaster recovery plan. And I would urge you to check this out and get prepared. Hope this helps out anybody that was maybe didn't have prepping on their mind, or thinking it might be a necessity, but I know that it's become a necessity for myself and my family, and I wanted to bring this website to the bring it up and show it to my subscribers. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel as always. Hit that like button. I appreciate it if you do, because it helps out my channel and presents the channel to more users on YouTube, which is great. And stay prepared. Thanks very much. Bye now.